All right, everybody. Today we're going to take a look at, this is a video of Brett Cooper. She's a guest on Jordan B. Peterson's show, and she's talking about rumors in Hollywood with child actors. So I think it's a video about her. I only saw a quick clip of it, but I think it's a video about her um, time in Hollywood working on a child TV show or something like that, children's TV show, and given her take on some of the, atrocities or whatever that she might have seen in Hollywood during her time there. So we're going to take a look at it. It's not a long video. I think it's about maybe 15 minutes long or something like that, 13 minutes long. So we'll take a look at it and just to get a little idea as to the type of experiences that she's, had in the entertainment industry. I think at this point, it's safe to say that Hollywood is very exposed. Everybody kind of understands. It's even like a running joke, unfortunately, that Hollywood is this place where you go and develop a lot of trauma. We've done videos in the past on this channel, particularly with the woman who is running that Sound Investigations company now, how she had worked in Hollywood and some of the issues that she dealt with, you know, uh, I think in a sexual nature, people made advances at her, even in her acting class, her acting coaches and stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot of, bad things that happen in Hollywood. And it just goes to show you that you really shouldn't seek fame because if you make that your goal, you're likely to do anything that's going to get you there. And a lot of times that means sacrificing your morals and values or doing degrading things in order to achieve that. And then you end up looking back and realizing what a mistake that was. And now you live with regret. But, it's a 50-50 chance if you're even going to obtain the fame. You might just get all those things and not get the fame as well. So, we've talked a little bit about that on this channel, and I think it's very, clear today that Hollywood is a mess, and a lot of people are gravitating away from that now and moving to some of these more independent avenues, whether it's, more innocent um, networks and productions like, Hallmark and things like that, or, Christian, faith-based movies and television shows. There's a couple of apps that, have that type of content. I know PureFlix now, used to be PureFlix now. I think it's the Great American PureFlix and some others. But also there's a lot of studios that are popping up that are making clean, nice, wholesome films again. Angel Studios is definitely the top most, popular one, at least at this point, that people know. And, people are kind of saying that they want to pursue their dreams of being an actor or a writer or, whatever, working in the film industry in some fashion. They just don't want to have to, sacrifice their morals and values and develop all this trauma in order to get there. It's not worth it for a job. Think about if you had to do that with every job you worked. If you're going to be a fireman, you have to, degrade yourself in order to, be a fireman. You would likely say, I'm not going to do that. So it's kind of ridiculous that this one industry, that's almost like a requirement. It's unofficial requirement, but it's kind of, accepted as one. I mean, they even have terms for it, like the casting couch and stuff like that. So I don't really know what the video is going to be about, but we've talked a little bit about this topic on the channel in the past. And we're going to take a look and see what she has to say and go from there.
How young?
14.
Okay.
And to my knowledge, this was not sexual, but it was objectively grooming. It was inappropriate relationships between an adult and minors because Hollywood goes ahead and it blurs the lines between what is appropriate between adults and children, because you're working with adults constantly.
Right.
My entire life. I spent my entire childhood, I spent more time with adults than I did with children. My management team, they were all adults, obviously, agents, managers, directors, casting directors, producers, wardrobe assistants. You're surrounded by adults constantly, writers in this case. And those lines get really blurred. So if a writer on a TV show that you worked on invites you and one of your co-stars out to lunch to talk about another TV show that he's working on, your parents go, oh, okay, yeah, well, you've worked with him for 2 years.
So right away, that kind of goes back to what I was saying about how it's accepted in the industry that, weird things or inappropriate things are just going to happen. And she's making a case that, especially with children, because you're working with both children and adult in that same setting. Well, you have to think about that logically. Yes, most jobs you don't have children involved, especially with the child labor laws over the past however many decades now that we've not been able to have children in the workplace. But you got to think about it from a perspective where there are children in other workplaces, right? If you work at a hospital or a doctor's office, especially a pediatrician, you are going to come across children every single day. If you're a teacher and you work in a school system, or you're the janitor in the school, or you're the principal, whatever, you're going to come across children all day, every day. That doesn't make it okay to, treat that child as though they're your peer or they're on the same level as you, or in any inappropriate manner. You have to remember they're children, right? So just because children are involved in an industry doesn't mean that it's okay or socially acceptable to be inappropriate with them. Adults should really be you know more mature than this. The fact that you know it's the entertainment industry and there's a lot of emotions involved doesn't make it okay to gray those boundaries between adult and child. So let's see what she has to say. But yeah, it's really unfortunate that it's become like socially acceptable that it's just weird things are going to happen when you work in Hollywood, and if you're a child, good luck. That's horrible.
You to lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're sitting here with this girl who's a year older than you, and he starts talking about the lesbian fantasies that he has about you and your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's nothing happened, but that's the fact that he thought that was appropriate. The fact that
Well, that's a testing behavior.
Yeah. And then the fact that later we're walking around the restaurant and he puts his hand in my friend's back pocket, who's 15 years old. And I was just, I'd get me out of here. Completely inappropriate. She was,
How
I
many
think,
of the young people in Hollywood are sold into that, so to speak, by their parents? Now, you
lot.
characterized your mother as someone who was loath to take you on the Hollywood adventure.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no shortage of parents. Is it more common among mothers? Probably.
Yeah.
The cluster B type mothers who use their children to their own advantage, come hell or high water. Jazz Jennings, for example, springs to mind, right, in the most brutal and horrible possible manner, right? But you can see a lot of this on social media. Parents pimping out their children, transforming them as well, and then proclaiming their moral virtue in consequence of the transformation. My child is very, very deviant, but I'm such a wonderful person that I still love them deeply. Right.
But it
Absolutely
was them in the first place
behavior
that pushed them in that direction in the first place. And then
you might say so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think another example, did you read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy?
No, I haven't read it.
Fantastic. And that I think is the most incredible example of what a lot of these younger people. Jeanette McCurdy. She's from iCarly.
Jeanette.
Yes.
You haven't talked to her on your podcast.
No, I have not. I believe she talked to Michaela.
Okay.
It was just an incredible book. I remember I read it last year when it came out, and I was just tears reading it, because these are the stories of the people that I grew up with. They're the things that I saw but was protected against. My mom was very wary about me being involved in this industry, and she was a shark. She set firm boundaries. She was always watching. She was always within eye shot.
Right. So you had a guardian.
Oh, yes.
Right.
And the other thing that I think was incredibly important that she did was, again, like I said, I had so many other things going on in my life, so my identity was not wrapped up in this industry. I never connected it to money at all, because my money was put in savings accounts. My parents never touched it. My mom never touched it. The state takes 15% of whatever a young actor makes and puts it into your Coogan account. So if you are in a situation where your parents are exploiting you, at least by 18, you have some money. Never touched any of that, and never wanted me to connect Hollywood and making money. Because she saw people in my circle, these kids, they would, do an episode on a TV show, and then their parents would go out and buy 6 American Girl dolls, and they would buy a fancy new car for the family. And, the parents would take a huge vacation that the kid at 8 years old paid for.
Right.
And my mom always wanted to ensure that I stuck in this industry because I loved it, because I couldn't live without it, because I loved telling stories. And at least once a month, she would say, are you sure you want to do this? Because if you ever want to stop, we'll stop. I don't care how much money we've invested in your acting classes and your dance classes. If you want to stop, if you want to go home, you'll pack up and move to Tennessee.
What made her so sensible?
She's a brilliant woman. She's incredible. She's one of the most resilient people I've ever met. Mm-hmm. She has been to hell and back a million times. Her first husband passed away. Her child then passed away. Mm-hmm. My older brother, in light of my brother's passing, has severe mental illness. He's permanently in a psychiatric facility for schizophrenia. Very, very hard marriage with my father. Very, very hard upbringing where she was often the black sheep. Mm-hmm. She is very comfortable being non-traditional and doing things that would be considered unconventional in whatever circumstance she's in.
How did you end up with traditional values then?
Because she's very traditional. I realized that as I said that, I contradicted myself. Well, she is willing to be unconventional in the given circumstances. So in Hollywood,
so she's daring.
She's daring. Mm-hmm. And the majority of people that we were surrounded by where parents were pushing their kids into this. Yeah. She was willing to be the one that says, no, my kid is not doing that. My kid isn't doing this kind of project. My kid is not going out for this project that is run by a producer that we know has, a bad track record. Right. She was incredibly involved.
Right. Well, so fundamentally, the case you're laying out, it's always useful to look at situational determinants of unfortunate outcomes, let's say. And, the first thing you said was, well, there are kids working with adults, and so the lines are blurred. And okay, so that sets the stage. Yeah. And then you can imagine that within those relationships, there's no shortage of people always whose ability to obtain intimacy, like in a relationship or sexually, is like stunningly compromised, right? And so those people at minimum are going to, like, just as a consequence of their inability, are going to be looking for opportunity and maybe not even that good at distinguishing an appropriate from an inappropriate opportunity. And then there's the ones that are really bent because they're resentful and because they're isolated. They're actually looking for innocence to subvert and destroy. Those are the more people who tilt more in the explicitly narcissistic and sadistic direction. And your circumstance was such that you had a mother who was watching out for you. And so that instead of a mother who was complicit and exploiting you.
Who turned a blind,
Now, you said you had a growth spurt when you were, how old, 9?
Yeah.
So how physically mature were you by the time you were 14?
Relatively. I always looked older for my age. Yeah.
That's another thing that blurs the lines, of course,
it is.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you're around adults and you learn to act like an adult, you're going to also present yourself, in a more mature manner.
Yeah. And if you physically look like one.
Well, that's...
It makes it very, very complicated. However, it just shouldn't
What did you do you think that... So often girls, bully victims in general, girls who are subject to exploitation are not very good at subtle signaling. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to say no. They don't know when to say no. They don't know how to broadcast no.
Yeah.
Like right from the initial interactions, right? So how do you think you conducted yourself so that, because I know you said your mother was protecting you, but did you conduct yourself so that nothing got going?
Yeah.
Okay, how?
I would say just intrinsically, I'm very self-aware and have been for a long time. And I think that is because I had to grow up very quickly in terms of my family. I was just very aware of everything that was going on.
You also said you didn't want to cause trouble.
Yeah.
Unnecessary trouble.
Yes, unnecessary trouble. But I don't think that means that I was not willing to stand up for myself, because in situations that were this severe in terms of my safety, my innocence. Anyway, I think that I was very self-aware. And then it goes back to my mother. Again, when we moved out to Los Angeles, she knew everything, all the rumors about Hollywood, the casting couch. She put me in women's self-defense against sexual assault classes when I was 10. And I did those classes until
And that was useful?
The most incredible thing I've ever done. Hands down. I was put in situations, I started out doing group classes, and you learn how to fight against a male opponent that is bigger than you. Because you can do jujitsu, you can do karate. I think that those disciplines are incredible. They often do not translate to real world fighting for women.
Specifically. Of course.
Women, we hold our strength in different parts of our bodies. When you are dealing with an assault, there are, situational awareness is so important. Your voice is so important. Just being able to scream no. It was incredible. And so, I was put in situations in these classes where, a man comes up behind you, my instructor comes up behind you, holding a knife to your throat, knowing how to get out of that, holding a gun to your head. You are on the ground. So
you at least were run through situations.
I was run through, but I think
this situation you described in the restaurant where this writer, I think you said was a writer, slipped his hand into the back pocket of your friend.
Yes.
You said she was a little older than you?
Yeah, she was 16.
Why didn't he do the same thing to you?
He tried to, and I moved away. And I said, that's weird, don't do that.
Okay. Did she do that?
No.
Okay. So
that's the perfect example of what you were just saying.
Yeah, well, that's exactly my point. Those are the micro no's that stop things from proceeding.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And
I credit a lot of that to these classes that I did.
Yeah.
Because as you said, and as you brought up again, I was unwilling to rock the boat. I was a doormat in my family. And still, that's something that I'm still working through as an adult now. I'm being very, very nervous about that in my immediate family, just because of the way that I was raised.
Are you an agreeable person? Do you like to please people?
I do.
Right. Well, you can also see the complexity, because if you're an entertainer and you're on the stage, you're obligated as part of your role to be magnetically attractive, charismatic, and all of that, and to capitalize on that. And so drawing the line, Marilyn Monroe, she said she could walk down the street as Norma Ray? Norma Jean, or as Marilyn, right? And if she walked down the street as Norma Jean, no one paid any attention to her. But if she walked down the street as Marilyn Monroe, then she was magnetically attractive, right? And so those are obviously, well, she was a master of that seductress role. She's still iconic because of that. And it's like 70 years later. That's really quite something. And it certainly destroyed her, right? Because that was too much. Well, if you're an actor, an actress, then you have this conundrum, because you're rewarded for your attractiveness. You're capitalizing on your attractiveness. You're among adults, but you have to hem that in so that you're not exploited. Right? Well, when exactly are you being exploited, and when exactly are you exploiting yourself? It's not like that's obvious. So it's a very good thing that you had your mother along with you. The courses too, that's interesting, because you were at least placed in frightening situations, and you were at least alerted to.
All right, so that was just a short clip of her take on, basically going through that experience in Hollywood. And like we saw in the previous videos that I posted with, I think her name is Arden Young, if I'm not mistaken, she was talking about, kind of, grooming techniques, how they just slowly erode away at your, guard, you're putting up boundaries by, predators, by doing these little things just to see how much you'll let them do. And they just keep, taking it until they eventually get you to the place that they want you to be in. And, this is true in, many aspects of life, but these are grooming techniques, putting the hand in the back of that girl's back pocket. That was a way to open her up to physical contact with this person. She might not recognize that in the moment, but, subconsciously her brain is going to understand it's okay to have this person physically touch me because he's already put his hand in my back pocket and touched my butt. So I am now open to the next phase of that, whether it's him, touching her under her clothing or whatever. He's opening her up to accepting that behavior. And what Brett said was that she stopped that immediately. He tried the same thing on her in that moment, and she said no. And I think, first of all, that's great that she did that because, that's a boundary. She's putting her guard up and she's telling that person, I'm not okay with this. I'm not here for you to, molest me or whatever, take advantage of me. So she, had confidence and stood up. And a lot of times I think that women, they don't have that level of confidence because, either like she said, she's a people pleaser. They feel the need to please, or they are just afraid of confrontation. So the fact that she brought up that she took self-defense classes, I think is great. That's an excellent way to, give you the confidence that you need to deal with a situation that you're not comfortable with. Not that you're going to always, win an altercation if for some reason, somebody is trying to aggressively pursue you and you don't want them to, just because you take defense classes doesn't mean that you're going to stop them from, assaulting you. But uh, it gives you the confidence you need to stand up to that person. And the truth is, most people who are predators are weak cowards. They're not like, your average real man. Um, they're very, they're just they don't have those tendencies that real men have. Real men um are not going to try and slyly, convince a woman to allow them, to do all these weird and uncomfortable things. They're going to try and charm a woman. They're going to try and pursue and court a woman that they're interested in to, hopefully see if that woman is interested as well. And if not, they move on. That's real men aren't trying to play this game where they're trying to trick or manipulate women into doing things that they're not comfortable doing. So that should be a red flag for women. When you see a man that is, you know, um, trying to manipulate you or get you to do things that you're not comfortable with, and they're relentless, they won't stop. That's not a real man. You shouldn't feel comfortable or safe around that person. Um, but, it's good that she took these self-defense classes. That's something that I would recommend that, most, if not all women do, because it's good to just have that know-how, in case a situation does arise where you don't feel safe or comfortable, just to be able to defend yourself and then get out of Dodge as quickly as possible, is a huge, benefit. And it would likely, reduce a lot of issues in the world, with, women being molested. Um, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but obviously more women get, molested or, RAPED than men do. Obviously, and especially outside the prison system in the regular world. So if more women had taken self-defense courses, those numbers might likely go down. So I really like that her mom made her do that and set her up with that tool. More parents, especially ones that are entering their kids into Hollywood or things that are risky, they really should consider giving their child the opportunity to um, learn that skill and then have the confidence to go and do what they want to do, without uh, making mistakes along the way in order to achieve that goal. It'd be nice to see, more parents do that. It'd also be nice to see if there was some sort of requirement that children actors took some sort of self-defense class to protect themselves from, people who maybe are not good adults that are working with them. Obviously, that would be hard to regulate, but who knows if they could set up an account and mandate that the child's money gets protected from the parents in case their parents go rogue. They could probably set up something where the children have to take self-defense classes. Um, but whatever, it's just an idea. If I was a parent that my child was entering that industry, I, certainly would make them do that as well. Just, give them a fighting chance against an adult. But yeah, it's interesting to see, what she had to say, and it's sad because you see all these videos of people online who, may or maybe worked in Hollywood or some industry, and many times they have horror stories to tell. Um, And it's not like they're entering themselves into the porn industry where they're, going and voluntarily being a part of something that is very inappropriate. They're, maybe a child actor on a TV show. I mean, look at that documentary that came out this year with Nickelodeon. I forget the name of it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a documentary that came out, and it actually was really good, and it told the story of many well-known um, actors who had worked on Nickelodeon and many programs on that channel, childhood and teen shows, who had horror stories to tell about how they were treated horribly by the producer and other members of the crew, and some even had stories of confirming that they were molested and actually RAPED by that, producer or whoever. Um, so it's sad to see, because a lot of people who grew up in the 80s and 90s, they, watched some of those shows growing up, and that was just, normal life for them. And now years later, you see that a lot of these horror stories are coming out. So I've said this in the past on this channel, Hollywood is not uh, a great place, especially to, put your children. If you have a dream and you want to pursue that dream, um, tread softly, but it doesn't hurt to maybe take some self-defense classes and things like that. And if you're a parent, because this was also in the documentary as well, if you're a parent, you got to be really involved in your child's life in that industry. Don't just send them out to the wolves. Go and protect them and stand by them and make sure that they, you know, um, y- the people there know that you're watching them and you're seeing how they're interacting with your child. And, it gives your child the confidence and the support that they need to go and do what they love, but knowing that their parent is always right behind them, protecting them. So, yeah, it was just interesting to hear her take. We'll do these videos from time to time as they pop up because it is interesting to hear a lot of this stuff come out now about Hollywood, and a lot of the truth get, brought to the light of day. So, we'll see what other, if you have any good videos where, people give their testimony. We love testimonies on this channel, whether it's a heaven testimony, hell testimony, ex Hollywood testimony, or, pretty much anything where there's a revelation of something that was maybe hidden, that is now exposed. It is interesting to see, and I like that type of content, but I love sharing it with you guys because you also seem to like that type of content. Many of the testimony videos that I've done on here have gotten a lot of views and a lot of comments and stuff like that. So I think that those seem to be the type of content that you're looking for. If you have any in particular that you would like me to check out on and play on here, send it my way, put it in the comments. And don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff so that you can keep up on, all the videos coming out. And that's it. Stay tuned for the next video. All right, everybody, I just want to take a moment to promote my children's book. This is Little Boy Full of Love. That's me on the back. And this is a little sneak peek on the inside. It's a great book. It's a children's book. I actually wrote this for my son, and it's available right now on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, Indigo, bookshop.org, and a lot of other online platforms. But more importantly to me, it's actually available in a lot of bookstores throughout the country. You can find out which ones are closest to you on my Instagram page. We highly recommend that you shop local, buy from a local bookstore. So if you are looking to, get a children's book for you or anybody you know, or even with the holidays coming up, it's a great time to, buy a children's book as a gift. Definitely get it from a bookstore that's local to you. But if you absolutely can't get it from one of the bookstores that are currently carrying it right now, and we're in about 15 or 16 different states across the country, so it may actually be in your state and it could even be local to you. But if you can't get it from the physical bookstore, check out our Amazon storefront. The book's available on there right now. And like I said, with the holidays coming up, you may want to do your Christmas or Hanukkah or holiday shopping early. And you can even order it from our Amazon storefront and ship it directly to whoever you're gifting it to. But it's available on those platforms, Amazon storefront and bookstores and other websites that I mentioned. But I want to take a moment here to look at the storefront just to give you an idea of some other stuff that we have available on there. these are products that we highly recommend. They are things that we use in our daily lives, and it's all organized by category. So it's a lot easier to, shop for the holidays and specifically for things that interest you, particular categories available right now, many different items on our storefront. You can see here, 61 items just in women's apparel, fall decor, because right now we're in fall, 26 items, kitchen items, baking specifically, things for around the house, children's toys, even stuff for parties. If you're trying to save money on a party and throwing your own, occasion, you can even buy some cool gadgets here to help you, put on a better party. Health and wellness items here, even stuff for Christmas. And there's the book right there. So you can get it from the storefront. You can get it from the bookstores, like I mentioned. But it's available on all these different platforms. It's really easy to find and gift to somebody. Also, I want to show you the apparel shop, and these are some clothing items that we actually produce. So if you're looking to get some cool apparel items, shirts, hoodies, long sleeve, short sleeve, leggings, even accessories, cell phone cases, women's makeup bags, fanny packs, coffee mugs, all different types of stuff, even some, art, all different categories here, apparel, homeware, accessories, drinks, even digital items. It's all on this store, healthybodygoodssoul.com. Anything that pertains to you or somebody that you're looking to get a gift for the holidays. A lot of great designs on here, a lot of cool designs that we actually custom created. Stainless steel water bottles, especially now with the fall and winter. A lot of cool hoodies and long sleeve shirts. This is a really cool one, I think, for women. The original Be Your Soul apparel, that one's actually really popular. People tend to like that. This one's one of my favorites. The free shirt. It's the American flag, and it says free, and that says not property of the United States government. That one's pretty cool. Got all different types of tank tops, hoodies, long sleeve, short sleeve, tote bags, coffee mugs, even some items for kids, backpacks. So if you're the type that likes to, plan ahead, I would definitely recommend ordering from the Amazon storefront or the apparel shop within the next couple of weeks to get everything in time for the holidays. Use code SAVE15 on the apparel shop to save 15% off everything on the storefront. So order within the next week or two, and you'll definitely have everything in time for the holidays. Definitely check out all the links to everything, the Amazon storefront, the book, and the apparel shop in my bio on all my platforms, Rumble, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. But you can also find them in all the show notes for every episode that I post and get all your orders in time for the holidays. All right, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It helps the channel continue to grow. And put in the comments things that you would like me to talk about and make videos on for the future. And I will definitely do my best to do that. Stay tuned for the next one.